No, actually I can't. Dang it. New video. Sorry. I'm sorry. Alright. Hopefully I got this studded and everything else where if it's okay. My goodness. I'm tired. Alright. That's the favor of God. Stretch those legs. And make my shorts fall. You may be at the grocery store in an extremely long checkout line, and you're in a hurry. Another checker taps you on the shoulder and says, "Come with me, I'm opening this additional register over here." That's the favor of God assisting you. The favor of God causes other people to extend preferential treatment to you. You may be out to lunch when you just happen to bump into somebody that you've been wanting to meet. Perhaps that person is somebody you admire or hope to learn from, or possibly he or she is someone with whom you have been hoping to do business, but you couldn't get to them. But that is not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence. There we go. That's the favor of God. God causing you to be at the right place at the right time when those kind of things happen. Be grateful. Don't take God's favor for granted. Say, "Father, thank you for your favor. Thank you for assisting me." Don't take God's favor for granted. Uh-oh. One day, Victoria and I went to the mall together. And I am not a shopper, but my wife loves to shop. She picks out a few items in a clothing store, and I took them over to the cashier to pay for them while she looked at something else. As I stood at the register, sort of daydreaming, the woman behind the counter smiled and said, "This blouse will be on sale later this week. I'm going to go ahead and give you the sale price." "Really? Why, thank you very much," I said. "I really appreciate that. As she began folding the blouse, she noticed something else. She said, "Look at that." She pointed to the bottom of the blouse. "It looks as though it has a mark on it. If it's defective, I'll have to give you a discount. What do you think?" I said, "Oh, yeah, that looks terrible." She said, "Well, if it's okay for you, I'm going to cut the price in half." I said, "Well, that'll be fine with me." I later told Victoria, "I'm going to have to go shopping with you more often. It might save us some money." That's the favor of God. The clerk didn't have to give us that sale price. I wouldn't have known the difference, and she didn't have to I lost my spot. And she didn't have to discount that price of the garment based on that small defect. I hadn't even seen it until she brought it to my attention. But when you are living favor-minded, the Bible says God's blessings are going to chase you down and overtake you. In other words, you won't be able to outrun the good things of God. Everywhere you go, things are going to change in your favor. Every time you turn around, somebody's going to want to do something good for you, to assist you in some manner. They may not even know why, but it's the favor of God that causes you to stand out in the crowd. That's one time I was sitting on an airplane waiting at the gate, preparing to take off. Suddenly I heard my name called over the plane's loudspeaker system, and the flight attendant asked me to push my cell button so she could locate me. At first, I was startled. I thought that perhaps I'd left something at the security checkpoint, or that something was wrong. The flight attendant came back down the aisle, leaned over, and spoke quietly. We would like you to come with us. We have a seat for you up in first class. The people sitting around me stared, no doubt wondering, why is he getting singled out? What's up with him? I followed the flight attendant the length of the aircraft and sat down in the seat she indicated. In first class. Later during the flight, I asked her, "Why did you choose me?" She waved her hand and said, "Oh, we needed the space and couch. So the computer just randomly picked somebody to bump up to first class." I thought, "That's what you think?" I knew that was in my heavenly favor, Father giving me preferential treatment. I knew it was the favor of God causing me to stand out above the rest. That's the sort of thing that happens naturally when we live favor-minded. That's why we should get in the habit of constantly speaking God's favor over our lives. It's not simply over our own lives, but over our business, our employees, our children, and our families. If you work in sales, you ought to declare that you have favor with your clients. Every day you should say, "Father, I thank you that my clients are loyal to me and want to do business with me." If you work in real estate, you ought to speak God's favor over your property. "Father, I thank you that this property is going to sell. I thank you that your favor is leading me into the right place. Your favor is causing people to want to buy this home." Learn to speak God's favor over time, over every area of your life. If you're not experiencing as much favor as you would like, start declaring it more often. Become more diligent about speaking it out. And you don't even necessarily have to say it out loud. You could speak it under your breath. You could say it while you're driving to work. You could say it right before that big presentation. Remember, the most favor-minded you are, the more of God's favor you're going to experience. Learn to speak God's favor over every area of your life. Oh, man. Alright, sorry about that. The favor of God can cause people to make exceptions and wait, hold on. Remember, the more favor-minded you are, the more of God's favor you're going to experience. Learn to speak God's favor over every area of your life. The favor of God can cause people to make exceptions and change their policies, or do something unusual, even that which has never been done before. A few years ago, I was checking in at the airport for an overseas flight. I was carrying an expensive television camera, and I didn't really want to check it. I asked the woman at the check-in counters if there was any way I could take it on board without me I could take it on board with me. No, I'm sorry, she said. Our policy is very strict. If a carry-on doesn't fit under the seat in front of you or in the overhead compartment, it must be checked. I understand that. She was following the rules, but I also knew that the favor of God can make exceptions. So I respectfully asked her, "Is there anybody else I can talk to about taking my camera on board?" She said, "No, I'm sorry. There's no use. There's no way you're going to take your camera on board." About that time, a man dressed in a captain's uniform approached me. I didn't know him and never seen him before, but he walked right up to me and asked, "How can I help you?" "I'm trying to take my camera on board," I said, "so it doesn't get all beat up with the check luggage." "Where are you going?" he asked. "I'm going to New Delhi, India, to meet my father," I replied. "Really?" he said, as he raised his eyebrows. "That's the flight I'm in." That's the flight I'm in charge of. He then said, "When you get on board, just bring the camera off. Bring the camera up to me, and I'll put it right behind the cockpit." Clearly, the woman behind the counter glared at me and shook her head, clearly aggrieved. I just smiled and said, "Sorry, ma'am. It's the favor of God." The favor of God can cause people to go out of their way to want to help you. The favor of God can cause people to make exceptions for you. Think about it. What caused that captain to come up to me in the midst of the busy airport? Wait. What caused that captain to come up to me in the midst of that busy airport? There were 15 or 20 ticket counters and hundreds of people in lines. Why did he choose me? The favor of God. That was God giving me special advantages, giving me preferential treatment. Not because I was a preacher's kid or even a distinguished patcher's son, but because I am his child. God wants to do similar things for your life. A young woman at Lakewood Church told me about an accident in which he had to have emergency. And for some reason, it wasn't covered by her health insurance. Conse- consequence, consequently, she owed the hospital $27,000. The hospital worked out a payment plan, and she was mad, furious, so awesome, happy. She was paying the bill little by little each month. Excuse me. But she was really struggling as a single parent. She couldn't afford that extra payment. Nevertheless, she didn't get discouraged. She didn't go around complaining about how tough her life was, or how the hospital had the audacity to charge her so much. Instead, she stayed in an attitude of faith and expectantly declaring God's favor over her life. She was on the lookout for God's goodness. My tablet is losing its charge very fast. Right before Christmas, she received a letter from the hospital. The letter basically said, every year we like to choose a few families and to do something good for them. And this year we've chosen you. We want to inform you that we are canceling your $27,000 debt. The letter went on to say, not only are we going to forgive your debt, but we are going to refund several $1,000s that you've already paid us. That is a favor of God. You may say, Joe, that sounds great, but you don't know my luck. You don't know the mistakes I've made. I've done a lot of things wrong. I can't imagine God ever wanted to bless me like that. You're right. It won't ever happen unless you change your thinking. You must become favor-minded. Unless you start expecting God's blessings to overtake you, expecting God's goodness to show up in your life in a new way. We all have made mistakes and have had to ask for forgiveness. Once when you've done that, move on knowing that God still wants to pour out His favor in your life to do great things and through great things in though His favor. Oh my goodness! Once you've done that, move on knowing that God still wants to pour out His favor in your life to do great things in through and for you. 3%. A new start. Israel's second ruler, King David, made a lot of mistakes. He committed adultery and even ordered many a man to be murdered, but when he repented and sought forgiveness, God forgave him and gave him a new start. The heart. The Bible compliments David, saying he was a man after God's own wrong. No, he lived favor-minded. It was David who wrote, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Notice he was expecting goodness and mercy, not part of the time, but all the days of his life. I like the way the Message translation puts it. Message translation puts it. God's kindness and goodness chases me down everywhere I go. David's attitude was, I just can't get away from the good things of God. 2%, I better go get the charger. Living favor-minded. Page 49 of 60. 68. So we got 10, 19. We got 20 pages more to go. Wow. We're almost there. Hey, boo-boo. I'm sweating my butts off. Now I'm actually probably going to end this video and take out my camera. So, thanks for watching. I'm going to end this video a little early. I'm going to take out my camera.